Antisemitism, often masked as anti-Israel sentiment, is on the rise worldwide. And ILTV has put together a special online panel entitled Combating the Conflict, addressing misinformation and the rise in anti-Semitism with host Emmanuel Kadosh. Joining her are a panel of social media influencers and pro-Israel activists on the front lines of combating this phenomenon. Hen Mazzig, op-ed writer and senior fellow at the Tel Aviv Institute, Rudy Rochman, Jewish Israel rights activist, founder of Jewish Fashion Council and MEforWE project Adi Heyman, social media influencer and entrepreneur Moti Ankar, and high-tech partnerships manager and social media influencer Shir Ibgui. Let's take a look.
Start things off by talking about how social media has had a direct impact on how people across the world saw this specific escalation between Israel and Gaza unfold, and what do you think about that?
Sure. So social media is a tool. It could be used for the good. It could be used for the bad. It's a tool to disseminate information. A lot of Jews, a lot of people that are pro-Israel are very surprised to the fact that there's so much out there against Israel, against the Jewish people. But it's something that a lot of activists that have been doing this for a long time, I've realized that this is what the society is at right now. And social media is just a representation or a mirror into what the society truly looks like. Now, there are two problems: the role of the people that aren't part of this land, that are not Palestinian, that are not Israeli, and also the role of the people of this land. And if you're outside of this land, meaning you're someone that's pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel, it's your responsibility to use in whatever measures that you can, whether in social media or in your activism or in any energy, to use that to bring people together. There's no reality where Palestinians disappear. There's no realities where Israelis disappear. And all these narratives being pushed on social media is always this side is correct and this side is wrong. This side is the oppressor and this side is the oppressed. These are the people that we should be supporting and these are the people we should be against. But the reality is, if we keep pushing that narrative, you're only going to be destructive to both sides because neither are going to disappear. So we have to talk about the suffering that is going on. We have to change the structure because clearly there's something that's wrong that's happening here. But the role that they're playing is pushing these zero-sum game narratives. And who's really profiting from this? It's definitely not the Israeli people.
Right.
It's definitely not the Palestinian people. So who's profiting? If not the media companies, weapon industries, or even politicians that are using this to get political gain within their following or not to have elections on the Palestinian Authority side. So we have to ask ourselves who's really profiting and why this is happening, not just the what, but the why. And that's something that a lot of people miss. Now, in terms of the Jewish community, we have to realize that this has been going on for over 15 years.
Right.
Movement on campuses, intellectual spaces, trying to get the next generation's political and intellectual class to hate the Jewish people and to see Israel as the representation of everything bad in the world. And you see this from the left to the right. The right usually blames the Jewish people for the source of the problem of a society. So blame coronavirus on the Jews, blame the Black Plague on the Jews, blame the economic situation post-World War I in Germany on the Jews. But the left does something a little bit different. They take what their society is ashamed of, so white supremacy, apartheid, genocide, slavery, colonialism, and they blame those elements that they feel ashamed of their ancestors onto the Jews. And you see those same words being applied to the Jews. And the reality is that, one, we're not foreigners. We come from this land. You dig in the land, you find our history. And yes, there's a conflict where both the Jewish leaders and the Palestinian leaders got it wrong and they didn't come together and they fought in the war and they were manipulated, of course, by other powers. But now when you have come to a point where we need to have conversations of moving forward, and the Jewish people need to realize that this problem is only going to get worse if we don't rise up, if we don't start taking our control over our narrative. You wouldn't want to hear about black rights from KKK members. You wouldn't want to hear about women's rights from misogynists. So why are, when you go to college campuses or intellectual spaces, the only people generating the conversation about Israel and the Jewish people are those that are against us?
So if you haven't already, check out the panel available to view on all of ILTV's social media sites.